Now we're caught in like that weird 5-second time frame where I'm waiting for it to come up on my other screen. Got it. We're up and running. Hey, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back to another fun night of Parents Helping Parents Live. We're really happy you can join us. There's lots of different things you could be doing on a Monday. I don't think NFL football's hit Monday night yet, but we're getting close. So we're definitely going to lose some viewers to that, but that's why you can come back and watch it later on YouTube if you're a big NFL fan. So if you're not a big NFL fan, while everybody else is watching football, you can continue to join us twice a month for some good quality info. So we're glad you're all here. Hope everybody's doing well. For the people that are in Oklahoma and North Texas, cross your fingers. It looks like we're about to move past this crippling heat into some bearable weather. I can't wait to take the top and the doors off my Jeep. It has been way too hot for that, and I've been sad and salty all summer long. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Hopefully we get that coming around the corner. So I'm going to remind you now, I'm going to remind you again here in a few minutes. If you're watching live on Facebook, if you're joining us, reach over, click the like button, click the share button to share this video on your news feed. The reason that we ask you to do that is because it exponentially increases the amount of people that our message tonight can reach. If people aren't tuning into our Facebook page, but they see the stuff that you're posting come across your timeline, you know, this kind of message, we're talking about community, we're talking about addiction, we're talking about mental health and substance abuse. There's people that you're friends with on Facebook who have family members that are suffering. There's people that you're friends with on Facebook who may be suffering themselves. And you don't want to miss an opportunity to share a message of hope with those people, even if it's brief. That one little instance can capture somebody's attention and change a life. And not to be super morbid, but here's a great example. There was a funeral just Friday morning for someone that I went to high school with and haven't seen probably in 15 years, but I struggled with addiction for a long, long time. And I think what happened is probably, unfortunately, he took his own life. And I don't know. It makes me think if I would have shared more content on my Facebook page, maybe something would have crossed his path and maybe changed the direction of his life. Maybe not. But that's a really easy and free way to support our organization, to support Marcus's organization, get the message out, and hopefully change a life. So if you're not familiar with Parents Helping Parents, we are an Oklahoma-based nonprofit organization founded by parents, primarily run by parents, with the mission of sharing our experiences, connecting people with resources, and providing education to family members who have a child any age that's struggling with a substance use disorder. So we've got parents in our organization who have 14, 15, 16-year-olds who are just starting to experiment with drugs and alcohol, and they're looking for help and guidance. We've got parents, who have had children or have children 40 years old, 45 years old, who have struggled with ongoing substance use and addiction for years as a part of our organization. We've got parents whose children struggled for 5 or 6 years and got sober and have been sober for 10 or 15 years. We've got parents who have children who have been vacillated in and out of different stages of recovery for a long time. So the point is if you're a parent or a family member and somebody you know struggling, we want to help. We want to connect you to resources in your area. We want our parents and our family members to share some of our experiences with you, and we want to provide some education, which is a little bit about what this live stream is about. So thank you for joining us. If you've got more questions, you want more information about Parents Helping Parents, check us out on the World Wide Web, parentshelpingparents.info, or you can go to our Facebook page. There's lots of great information there as well, at Parents Helping Parents Inc. on Facebook. So hey, this is your second reminder, second and final reminder, really. If you're watching live on Facebook, I'm actually going to do it right now as well. I'm going to reach over to my other screen. I'm going to click share. I'm going to share this video to my timeline. You should do the same. Let's increase the message of hope for everybody that's out there. So a couple last things, and then I'll introduce Marcus and bring him on. We want this to be as interactive as possible. Unfortunately, on a live stream like this, we can't have thousands of different people on the screen, partly because we want to protect people's privacy and anonymity as much as we can, and just throwing them into a support group that's live on the internet seems like it might be a bad call. So we chose to do this live stream instead. We've got other meetings that aren't streamed live that are more interactive, face-to-face support group type meetings. Make sure you check out Facebook or the web for more information about those. But this live stream, even though we can't see, we want it to be as interactive as possible. If you want that interaction, so there's two different ways that you can holler at us tonight, two different ways that you can ask questions, drop feedback, and those type things. If you're watching live on Facebook, you can do it there. In the comments section, I'm going to be watching those on my other screen while me and Marcus are talking. So feel free to comment, feel free to ask questions there. That's great. Remember though, that's on Facebook. If you comment there, if you ask a question there, your name will forever be attached to this video on our Facebook page. And thousands of years from now, when they're excavating the ruins of the Facebook databases, they're going to come across this. And so if you're worried about your privacy, if you're worried about your anonymity, maybe you're worried about, hey, I've never asked these questions before, and I don't want my family member to see this and think that, you know, I'm overbearing or I'm codependent. You might be, and that's okay. We'll help you with that too. But if you're worried about those things, you want to ask questions privately. And the title of this video on Facebook is a phone number. It's a text line. I'm going to be watching that as well. That goes directly to a Google text number that we only use for this live stream. Don't even have to attach your name to it. Text your questions in. I will read them. We'll talk about them. I delete them at the end of the live stream. So that's a really easy and private way for you to engage as well. Marcus, so that you know, and I'll have you talk a little bit about it as well. I will be putting the both the Facebook page and the website for Marcus's organization in the Facebook comments. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you're curious on how to connect with him or where to get more information about that, go to the comment section on the Facebook page. The links to those things will be there also. So that's it. That's my spiel. I'm going to introduce Marcus Abernathy. Marcus is the executive director of a sober living community in the Tulsa area. This is not the first time Marcus has been on. It's been a while. I think it's maybe been about a year or so. So I'm excited to have Marcus back. I'm going to let him talk a little bit about himself, tell a little bit about his story, and then we're going to just kind of bounce around for a few minutes, talk about community and talk about recovery and see what kind of cool stuff we can get into. So Marcus, man, I'm gonna give you the floor, brother.
All right. Well, Derek, hey, thanks for having me back. I always love speaking to you and your crowd. Everybody who's watching right now, thanks for tuning in. So yeah, I'm Marcus Abernathy, founder and executive director of Sangha here in Tulsa. We're a men's recovery community. And we just opened up our third house in Tulsa, which is exciting. We've been in existence since 2018, and I'll get to that in a few minutes. I could spend an hour telling my story and still not really scratch the surface of all the details. So I'll give you the elevator pitch version. So I started actively in my addiction after a good friend of mine was murdered when I was about 21, and I had been using recreationally before that, but that was kind of the impetus to where I started using opioids on a daily basis. And it started with a legit prescription of hydrocodone. And typical scenario, as I took more, my tolerance got higher, so I'd have to take more and then move to stronger drugs. And over the course of about 7 or 8 years, I graduated to shooting up Oxycontin, basically. And then when that got to be too expensive, I graduated to heroin, which is kind of the end of the road there. Lost a lot of jobs, lost a lot of relationships and trust of my family, and a lot of my own personal dignity. And when I was about 30, I made the decision to go to rehab for the first time. And I wish I could say that was the only time that I went to rehab, but that wasn't the case. But I went to a place in Arizona, and then I moved out to Los Angeles. checked into grad school, got a master's degree in psychology while I was relapsing and getting back into recovery, and the relapsing, getting back into recovery, just kind of in the revolving door of the rooms of 12-step recovery. And then I ended up moving to Arizona, first Flagstaff, and then to Phoenix. Went to detox and treatment 3 or 4 more times after that. And this is over the course of like 3 or 4 or 5 years. And, ultimately, I had gotten kicked out of just about every halfway house in Phoenix. I had been to 3 different rehabs there. I was out of options, out of money, out of friends. And so I ended up on the street, and the only people that I knew really were drug dealers, and then people from 12-step recovery that I had met when I had some clean time that I had put together. Luckily, it was winter time in Phoenix, so it wasn't scorching hot outside, but that didn't make it any more fun, being homeless. And eventually what happened was I was all alone on the streets, just trying to get my fix day to day, which meant I had to hustle to make money and then hustle to score my dope. Not even to get high anymore at this point, just to reach some level of baseline where I felt normal. And then one day I was having trouble scoring some money. So I called an old sponsor of mine and asked him to come have coffee with me, thinking that maybe I could scam him out of, $10 or $15 to at least like go get myself well. What I had forgotten is that that was the same day that they were heading down to Mexico on a sort of a humanitarian trip that this big 12-step men's group would do every year, where they build a house for a homeless family. So when I meet him for coffee, we don't have coffee. Instead, he shows up with 5 other fellas, much larger than myself, and they say, "You're coming with us." Essentially, I like to say they kidnapped me and took me down to Mexico. They didn't really kidnap me, but I wasn't really happy and I felt pretty pressured to go. But I went because I was out of options. And they drove me down to Puerto Penasco, Rocky Point, where I proceeded to kick heroin in an RV for 5 days while everybody else was down building a house for this homeless family. I didn't have anywhere to go. I couldn't drive myself back up to Phoenix. Had no idea where I really was. And this group of men, there had to be maybe 100 and 120 of them total down there. They just loved me through it, even though I hated every single one of them while I was going through it. Kicking heroin is no fun, even if you have a medical detox. And if you're just in an RV like I was, it was absolutely terrible. But I made it through. And on the last day that they were working on the house, I finally starting to feel better. They drove me back up to Phoenix. And then the next day I checked into rehab for my final time. And that was February 7th of 2017. And I haven't really looked back. And what made the difference for me that time was that this community of guys surrounded me and forced their love on me at a point where I had no love for myself and kind of loved me back to health. And I got to the point to where I wanted to enter in recovery for Marcus, not to get my parents off my back, not to get a girlfriend back, or not to get a job back, or whatever. I actually decided, you know what, if these guys love me like the way that it felt, then maybe I can learn how to love myself as well. And that's exactly what happened. So fast forward to 2018, I decided it's time to come back home to Tulsa. So I wanted to do something in the recovery industry. I knew that there was a shortage of recovery homes here for men. And I wanted to pay homage to that group of guys who showed me that community and that sense of love that got me to where I am now. So I named our organization Sangha, which in Sanskrit means community. And that's the foundational premise for what it is that we provide these men. We give them a roof, we give them a bed, we give them accountability, but we give them a sense of community that drives them all the way through our 6-month program. And I love what I do, and I wouldn't be able to do it without that group of guys that took a chance on me when nobody else was really willing to do that. And that's a very condensed, shortened version.
Yeah, man, I wish we had 6 hours, 8 hours to hear all the details of that.
I still have to leave some out.
Right. We could have a what do they call it? Like a director's cut, and then a theatrical cut, right? Yeah, extended cut. Man, that makes a lot of sense why you're so passionate about community and why that's such a big part of what you guys do at Sangha, because it's what eventually got you sober. Tell us, some of these questions may sound a little basic, Marcus, but I think for people who are unfamiliar with community, with recovery, with culture in that sense, I think it can help to really kind of break things down for people a little bit. Give us like kind of your definition. What is community? And then maybe talk a little bit about, there are definitely people that have community that's not good for them, right? So like, what's community, but then what is healthy community, and
Sure.
how do you distinguish between the two?
So I guess just on like a very like simplified level, I guess my definition of community is just any gathering of people from a like-minded perspective, right? So if you have a common interest with 2 or more people, then technically you have a community, is if you're getting together to explore whatever that interest is. So for us at Sangha, we are a recovery community, and that's what we call ourselves. We don't call ourselves a sober living, we call ourselves a recovery community, because we have these guys live together, they go through recovery together, and that's the common bond that they have, and that is a healthy community. There are unhealthy communities, like the people that I used to use drugs with on the streets of Phoenix, Arizona, or the trap houses that I used to hang out in. Still a community by definition, not really a healthy community, right?
Yeah. Why is healthy community, why is community such an important concept for people? How does it have so much power in helping us create change?
So anybody who has gone down the toxic rabbit hole that is addiction, or anybody who has had a family member or a friend go down that spiral, when it gets to a point where it's bad enough that they need treatment, that they're at a point to where they're isolating. They may hang out with other people who are doing the same things, but really like they're alone. Then a lot of them will not leave their home or their room or whatever, with the exception of to go get food and maybe get some drugs or alcohol or whatever it is that they're using. But it's a very lonely disease. Even if you're using with a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a best friend, you still feel really, really alone, because the drugs are dumbing down any sense of connection that you may have with somebody. And on the other side of things, everyone that was close to you in your life is being pushed away, either by your actions or they're retreating and distancing themselves from you. So the opposite of that is people coming together, creating the community. And it's so important, especially for people who have struggled with substance use disorder, because isolation becomes a trigger. And when these guys are having a moment of anxiety or depression, or they're triggered, I see this all the time. The ones who lean on their brothers in the house and say, hey man, I'm having a tough day, let's go to a meeting together, or let's go play soccer or play some volleyball. Those are the guys who do really, really well. The ones who go back into their rooms and don't talk to anyone about it, those are the guys that I really worry about.
Yeah. You mentioned this a little bit, but maybe with the specific question you'll have more. You talked about just the isolation and the loneliness that addiction brings when it's active. It's funny. I'm gonna chase a rabbit just for a second. I don't know if you've seen it or not. There's a documentary on Hulu called The Dawn Wall. It's really good. You'd probably really enjoy it. It's a biopic about the kid who does the first ever free climb, not free solo, but free climb, like no assistance except the rope for safety, of the face of El Cap in Yosemite. Great story. His story's crazy because he was kidnapped in Kazakhstan when he was like 19 by it's a wild documentary. You would really enjoy it. But when he finally is doing this big climb with this partner that they've been working at it, and there's like, I don't know exactly how many, 30 something different pitches they've got to complete. And the hardest pitch I think was like right around 18 or something. And his partner couldn't finish it and couldn't complete it, but he did. And eventually his partner was like, man, we got to keep climbing so that you can achieve this goal, because I obviously am not going to be able to hit this crux point, and I don't want to hold you back. So that they keep climbing, and he gets almost done to the point where the rest of it's just like a cakewalk. And in the documentary interview, he says, I was sitting there at the top of this thing, and I knew that the rest of it was just kind of a downhill jog to finish. And I was like, I felt so alone, because my partner he was there with me, but he wasn't finishing it with me like we had thought. And he was like, we had to go back down and we had to catch him up so that I could be as fulfilled as I wanted to. And I love the picture that gives us in change and in recovery, that sometimes even when we're doing something really awesome, if we're doing it alone, it's just, we're not designed for that type of fulfillment. We're designed for communal fulfillment and partnership. And so I say all that to say, kind of the next question is like, how does addiction impact community? Maybe in ways in addition to the loneliness, but not just for the person that's active in their addiction. How does it impact community for the families that are trying to care for them as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen families fall apart. Just families who were really, really, really strong together. Then one person either isolates themselves or gets isolated because of their alcoholism or addiction, and then without that gap being filled by that person, the rest of the family just, for whatever reason, they're not as close anymore. And there's a whole family systems reasoning of why that happens, but it boils down to that people care about people. And when somebody is not doing well and for whatever reason removes themselves from the group or won't accept help from people who love them, then it creates tension in the family unit, the family system, or the group of friends. Even, it doesn't necessarily have to be a family, it can be a group of friends. I mean, you see it in pro ball teams, right? You have a really, really great team and they played together really, really cohesively, really well, and then one player gets injured, not even the best player on the team, but one of the strong leaders on the team, and then the team doesn't play nearly as well anymore, even though they have somebody replacing him that's just as good, but it just throws the whole dynamics off. It can, losing that one person even momentarily can just create tension enough for it to push the rest of the community apart. And that's not even to mention like the the adverse effects on the bigger community at large, like on a city or state level, to what drugs can do to deteriorate the culture. It can have extremely large and wide adverse effects.
Yeah, man, I'd love to explore that for an hour or two with you too. Just that idea of what addiction has done to communities and culture over the last 30 years. I mean, it's wild what it's still continuing to do, really. The thought struck me, and I don't know the answer to this question. You might not know either. Maybe we'll just ponder it for a second. Is there any sense that a family unit, or even a fictive family, like you were talking about, it's not always blood family. Sometimes it's family that's not really family, right? But those are still family. Is there any sense that family is enough of a community for themselves, or is that really just a microcosm of what they really need from a larger community in addition to just themselves?
Well, so I think that we have different levels of community, and for some people the family community might be enough. Certain personalities might tend to just need like a smaller unit, whether it's the nuclear family or the chosen family or whatever we're talking about. And then other people need bigger or more. I mean, we at Songo, we tell our guys, okay, you have your community in the house, right? But eventually we want you to join the Tulsa community, right? So go find your yoga community, or go find your soccer community, or go find your church community, or go find your music community, like whatever you're into, go find that community too. Because when you leave us, we're always going to be here for you, but you're going to need to have another place to go that's a transition from us into whatever you want your new life to look like. And a lot of our guys, and I'm this way, by the time they leave, they'll have multiple communities. They'll have like, maybe there's men's small group, but then they'll have like the big group that they play volleyball tournaments with, or they'll have their boxing gym community, or like their book club or whatever. And a lot of these guys will have 5 or 6 different things that they're just spending all their free time doing, and that's what gets them plugged in, so that when they leave the recovery community that we provided, they are set up. And those are the guys who do the best.
Yeah.
But not everybody needs that. Not everybody's that outgoing to where they need a bunch, 1 or 2. Some personalities only need that.
Yeah. In a way, every time you can add a community of sorts to your support system, you're adding a support leg to that table or that chair. And all that really does is protect you, because if one of those goes away, you still have lots of other ones. I really think when we look back in hindsight, for me at least, that's what the pandemic did more than anything, is it exposed for so many of us the lack of different outlets that we had to stay healthy. And so many of us rely on just the gym or just hanging out with my friends in this social setting. And the pandemic strips a lot of that away from us. And all of a sudden we're left with, going, wow, when you take some of this stuff away, I really have no idea how to care for myself.
It's no coincidence that the number of deaths by overdose went up 30% in the 12 months after the first quarantine shutdown happened.
100%.
In the last 12 months, we broke 100,000 deaths for the first time ever.
Yeah. I also want to give a quick pitch to boxing communities, man. I never in my life will be able to understand how somebody can punch me in the face, and I love them so much at the end of the day.
It's one of my favorite things to do, man. I don't get it
crazy.
Either. It's fun.
It's crazy, man. I don't box near as much as I used to, but for 6 or 7 years, like, those were the guys that it's like, man, if my car broke down at 4 a.m, they were the ones that I was going to call,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was wild. So yeah, if you've never boxed before, it teaches you more about yourself than perhaps anything else in life could.
It
So
really does.
any
Yeah.
combat sport does. It's not just boxing. I think that that's why some people like jiu-jitsu so much too, and stuff like that. So, hey, Marcus, kind of lay out for me, for people maybe who have never been able to find community, or for families who are struggling to find a sense of community. What are some kind of strategies that you teach some of the guys you work with and some of the families you work with in terms of building community, maintaining community? How would you kind of coach people up with 2 or 3 different strategies?
Yeah, well, the first thing I always say is, hey, what are you into? What do you like to do? Like, what do you play an instrument? Do you play a sport? What do you like to do? And usually they'll say, well, I don't know. Like I used to play guitar, or like I really enjoyed playing soccer when I was in high school. And so we'll take that and run with it, because there's so much to do in Tulsa, and I'm sure it's that way in Oklahoma City and
Yep.
other cities. Say, okay, well, jump online, find a league, and go sign up for it, and meet some new friends. Or if you're into music, there's a lot of great local bands that play all over Tulsa, and it's not always at bars where there's a bunch of alcohol being served. Like go meet some people that are into the same kind of music. And so like that, we find their interests, and then those are the places that we start. And another is, and this is more so like with the families, I always say, are you in a support group? And they're like, well, why would I need to be in a support group? I'm not the one who's an addict. I'm like, well, maybe not, but your family member, your loved one is. Go join a support group, meet some people there. That's a really good place to start. And then, from there, same question. What are you into? Do you like to play tennis? Do you like to play golf? Do you like to play cards? Go find people who are doing the same thing that you're doing. You don't have to tell them your whole story. I guarantee you, if you do, somebody's going to say, oh, I can relate to that. But it's not something that you have to do. You can just bond over the thing that you're interested in. And it takes very little effort with the amount of information that is on the internet, especially in Tulsa. Tulsa's got a really good like online community to point you towards whatever groups are doing whatever. It's really not that hard, and the sports leagues and the stuff like that are not that expensive to join.
Yeah. It seems to me that my experience with people that I've worked with here in our area is that the biggest hurdle to building community is just the anxiety of putting yourself out there just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I agree. I tell people all the time, I'm like, it doesn't matter what your interest is. If it's boxing, great. I know 3 gyms you can go to. If it's jiu-jitsu, great. If it's cycling, great. Running, great. But even if it's on the other end of the spectrum, if it's board games or Dungeons and Dragons, like you can get on Google and find a group of people that are doing almost anything together in a major city. You just have to be willing to say, hey, I'm going to go try something with people.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that we have our whole like life skills program that we do with our guys, is because a lot of them are going to be apprehensive to get back out and trust people again. A lot of these guys aren't going to trust anybody, so they're going to be very, very timid when it comes to finding a new group of people. And so we'll identify that fear early on, and we'll set small goals with them, and then make the goals a little bit bigger and then bigger until they feel like, okay, I'm comfortable just being around people that I've never met before now. That'll take a few months with some of these guys. Some of them will just jump right in day one and be like, hey, I want to go play soccer. I want to go to La Fortune and see if I can find a pickup game. But that's not everybody. But we'll do our best to identify, like, if there's some fear around that kind of stuff, we have tools to help these guys work through that. And if they want me to join them to go find a new fighting gym, or just a new gym to lift weights, or a new soccer team, I'll go with them. I enjoy doing those things too,
Well, I think that's one of the advantages of a recovery community, is it almost immediately puts you around a handful of guys who, even if they're not into it, they're willing to go with you to help you build community because they know that there's value there. And maybe they had somebody help them along the way. And so they're like, hey, I'm not necessarily into that, but I'll go with you a couple times till you meet some people and get comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Marcus, I ask everybody that comes on kind of the same final question is, if somebody is watching this video, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's right now on Facebook, and they're in a bad spot and they're struggling, or maybe the family member's watching, they've got a family member that's in a bad spot. If you had to just give like a 30-second, 60-second message of hope to somebody out there that's in a really bad spot tonight, what would your really simple and short message of hope be?
Reaching out is not showing your weakness. Reaching out and asking for help is the strongest thing that you can do. You're going to find a community just kind of based on your willingness to go try something new that maybe you haven't tried before, whether it's detox, or whether it's sober living, or whether it's just seeing a therapist to talk about whatever it is. Take that step to reach out, even if it's uncomfortable, because that's at least there's a chance if you do that.
Yeah, man, it's good stuff. Hey, if you're watching, Facebook link to Sangha, link to Sangha's website in the comments section. So if you want more information about what they do, if you're in the Tulsa area, you need some support, I'm sure that Marcus or any number of people in his organization would love to have coffee with you, tell their story, hear your story,
Always.
get you connected. So click on those. Marcus, man, thanks for your time. Love it. If you're down in Oklahoma City, you want to grab coffee, hit me up, shoot me a message. It was good to see you, brother.
Yeah, you too, man. Thanks again for having me.
Hey, anytime. Hey, everybody, have a great week, and we will see you back in a couple weeks, first Monday of September for our next one. Thanks, Marcus.
Thanks, guys.